like to welcome you to this free video series on how beliefs shape your biology. Today's lesson will be on the nature of the myth of genes. The belief that genes control your life turns out to be completely false. The reason why this is so important for you to know is that you have been programmed essentially with the belief that genes control all the characteristics of your life. And why this new science is very important for your health and your life is that it reveals that your mind and your consciousness and how you see the world is really what determines your genetics and your biology. Very interestingly, in my early research, one of the things I did was remove the nucleus from a cell, a process called enucleation. The significance is that the nucleus contains almost all the DNA, the genes within a cell. What I found is when the genes were removed from the cell didn't die, as one might expect, but the cells continued to live on for 3 or more months and expressing very complex behaviors and functions, which is a very interesting concept when you understand that the belief was that genes were controlling all aspects of the cell's life and were the equivalent of the cell's brain. The research I was working on at the University of Wisconsin profoundly changed my life. That research involved cloning stem cells. What I would do is take one single stem cell, the equivalent of an embryonic cell, put it in a petri dish all by itself. The cell would divide every 10 to 12 hours, so at first there was 1, and then 2, 4, 8, 16, and pretty soon I had about 50,000 cells in the petri dish. The most important understanding about this is that all of the cells were genetically identical because they came from the same parent cell. But the real experiment that changed my mind was when I took these cells, genetically identical cells, and split them up into 3 different petri dishes. And what I did was change the culture medium. That's the environment in which cells live. So I changed the culture medium with slight chemical changes between the 3 dishes, so each of the dishes had a different environment. What was interesting was that in one dish the cells formed muscle. In the second environment, the cells formed bone. And in a third environment, the cells form fat cells. You say, well, what's the significance of that? And I tell you, this is what it is. Remember, all the cells were genetically identical. So if you ask what might be the most profound question, what controls the fate of the cells? The answer was not genetics. The only difference in all of the 3 cultures was the composition of the culture medium, the environment. This led me into a whole new insight about how environmental signals are actually selecting and controlling gene expression. Well, this was back in the early 1970s. I was sort of a loner out there at the time because at that